It is an absolute delight to be here today to hear you speak on this very important issue. I think that your teachers and your parents must be so proud of you to be here, to be chosen to come in and speak in the Queensland Parliament. And I have been so excited about listening to all of you. I would like to really congratulate Mia on being an excellent Sergeant at Arms. You're not supposed to clap in Parliament, but could we clap her, because that's a really important job. And our attendants here, our clerks here who are looking after things, and I hope you don't mind if I give a special shout out to Bulimba State School and St Peters and Paul's and Camp Hill State School, because they come from where I live, and I'm just wanted to, just do a little bit of a plug for them, but I won't be biased, I promised, as a speaker. But let's get into this amazing debate. I call the Youth Shadow Minister for Information Technology.
Madam Speaker, I move that this Youth Parliament supports, number one, that a curfew will apply to all internet-connected devices for students in Queensland primary schools. Students will not have access to the internet or social media sites after 5 p.m. and before 7:30 a.m. That Year 6 primary school students must attend homework clubs to be facilitated by their school for a minimum of 3 afternoons a week. That 20% of student work, the equivalent of 1 day per week, in Year 6 should be self-directed and completed online. Students should not have the privileges to access the internet and social media sites after 5 p.m. and before 7:30 a.m. Various social media websites can distract students from academic goals for prolonged periods of time. Many children are hooked on devices, leading to overstimulation of the brain. This releases so much dopamine that a brain scan confuses it with cocaine use. What a block to learning. Secondly, my motion calls for compulsory homework club attendance for a minimum of 3 afternoons a week. Scientific research has recorded a decline in many children's general ability to read and write, basic skills that many should have mastered by Year 7. Homework club would heavily contribute to improving these skills and take the weight off busy parents each evening. The final provision in my motion is that 20% of student work should be self-directed and completed online. This gives students the opportunity to practice using their skills independently, as well as strengthening their technology skills. Technological advances demand that students have fluent skills that prepare them for a digital future. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Excellent. I call the youth member for Ullandilla.
Thank you, Speaker. I am pleased to support the motion concerning internet use by students. The Shadow Minister has highlighted a need for a curfew on all internet-connected devices for students in Queensland primary schools. I support this motion, as students should learn in a variety of ways, not just by having access to the internet on school devices. What about hands-on experiences, experiments, and just purely learning from the interaction with the community around them? I also support the second provision, that Year 6 students should attend a homework club at least 3 days a week. This year we are very shocked to see that the Australian NAPLAN standards have dropped dramatically. The standards have dropped. A homework club would improve student knowledge in all subjects, as they would have expert tutors to assist them with their learning. The Shadow Minister has also requested that 20% of student work in Year 6 must be self-directed and completed online. Our Queensland primary school students must learn to be independent before high school. Self-directed online learning gives students skills to be lifelong learners. Thank you, Speaker.
Well done. And now it's my fault. I've actually got something out of order then, so I'm very sorry for causing that concern. I want to hear from the Youth Minister for Information Technology, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to inform the House that the government will oppose the opposition's bill. It is an unnecessary restriction on students' freedom. We should embrace the internet because it is here to stay and teach children how to use it responsibly rather than imposing these provisions. The opposition's motion is misguided for 3 main reasons. Firstly, in today's age, access to the internet is as fundamental as it gets. It is the way we find information and information finds us. With this in mind, why are we restricting students' access to the internet and therefore their right to information and education? Would we impose a similar curfew on reading books, for example? Secondly, by forcing Year 6 students to attend homework clubs, we are creating a negative experience for students that will impact their ability to do homework in later years. Imagine being the student in this situation, training before school, classes all day, and now they must stay in a classroom and complete their homework? Why punish students? And have we mentioned this idea to the already exhausted teachers? And finally, the 20% guideline is not very clear. Is it a minimum requirement or a maximum? If it's a maximum, why are we restricting online learning? The internet is abundant with resources that aid the child in learning and help with independence. On the other hand, a minimum, why limit the freedom of teachers? Shouldn't we leave the way they teach up to them? So, Madam Speaker, the government is here to protect students' freedom. For this reason, we will not support the bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Archer.
Thank you, Speaker. First of all, how would you feel if you were a teacher and more than half your class was not doing schoolwork and slacking off to play video games? Because that's what happens when you give kids self-directed time on their iPad. If students' work is self-directed, teachers would have to rely on students' initiative and their ability to work alone without help. Now, I don't know about some of you, but I definitely know some people who would crack under the extra work and pressure. Instead, why don't we use the 20% of students' workload to allow them to focus on an area that they find interesting? Let's let them follow their dreams and become what they want to be. They might surprise you. In conclusion, I thoroughly believe that 20% of students' workload should not be self-directed and completed online. Thank you, Speaker.
Excellent. I call the youth member for Laidley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am in favour of the motion that children and teenagers should have a technology curfew because of a few crucial elements. Setting a curfew for screens will enable all children to engage in sports and outdoor activities. This can contribute to exceptional physical health and decrease the risk of childhood obesity. Technology curfews on social media will help encourage family time and enable all children to have a balanced lifestyle. One that allows children to relish the benefits of technology while also spotlighting the importance of other aspects in life, such as physical activity, personal development, and strengthening family life. If children learn from watching their parents, don't you think the parents should have a curfew too? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Eagle Hawk.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today I'll be speaking in opposition to the idea that 20% of student work should be self-directed and completed online. There are numerous reasons why it is obvious that self-directed learning is a terrible idea. Firstly, if schoolwork is completed in a Year 6 classroom, then students will receive a better education as the teacher is right there to help. The teacher can support students. It is easier for students to ask questions, have discussions, work collaboratively, and receive feedback. Another major concern is that not all students have access to a device to be able to learn online. Therefore, they are not given the same opportunities as those more fortunate than them. It is a basic human right that children have access to an education. How can this be achieved if the playing field is not the same for everyone? Another issue created by learning online at home is that it forces parents to have to supervise their children while trying to work themselves. I don't think many parents look back at home learning in 2020 and think, wow, that was fun. Let's give equal access to education to all children and make the lives of parents and teachers easier. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Excellent. I call the youth member for Yamba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am pleased to support the motion. I feel like we all understand the struggle of homework. It's a hassle, but I strongly believe having mandatory homework clubs will help ease the tension in students' love-hate relationship with homework. Firstly, having mandatory homework clubs build a sense of community among students and develop unlikely friendships. Homework club will give a point of topic for conversation and will help kids socialise with students that they may not normally converse with. Finally, I believe homework club will help kids help assist kids with anxiety and other learning disabilities to come out of their shell and eventually become more active class members. Overall, kids' social skills will greatly improve with the assistance of Homework Club. It will promote unity, togetherness, and a sense of community. I believe we must pass this bill for the benefit of all students. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Yarraman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to speak on the motion of internet use by students and the provision that 20% of student work in Year 6 should be self-directed and completed online. I firmly oppose this provision as I believe all students' work should be done with a teacher's supervision at all times in school with no internet access. Firstly, when students are unsupervised and they're doing work online, this could lead to them searching up unrelated content and not doing their work. This can cause them to not learn proficiently and be independently capable of doing work without supervision. Secondly, when students are being self-directed in class online, this can be a chance for them to play a game and not be focused on the work that is assigned to them. Finally, when students don't use electronic devices and they are being supervised, they can work to the best of their ability. From this, they can excel in different areas of their learning. The students will get the most out of their learning if they weren't on games, searching up stuff, and were supervised. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Very good points. I call the youth member for Wyanda.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It would please the House to know that I believe 20% of our student work should be self-directed and completed online. Why? Because self-directed learning helps us improve our academic performance, motivation, engagement, and skills for the future. It allows us to learn at our own pace, according to our own interests and needs, and with a variety of online resources. It also gives us more ownership over our learning, which makes us more curious, enthusiastic, and persistent. And it develops our critical thinking, creativity, problem-solving, communication, collaboration, self-management, and digital literacy skills, which are essential for the 21st century. Self-directed learning is not only beneficial for us, but also for our teachers, who can supply more personalised feedback and guidance. Therefore, I urge you to support this proposal and give us the opportunity to learn in a more flexible and meaningful way. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Good speech, thank you. Youth member for Wonga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Why should kids stay back late to do homework when all they want to do is go home and relax? Compulsory homework clubs can lead to burnout, especially when students have already spent a full day of learning at school. Forcing them to stay longer at school may negatively affect their well-being and academic performance. Do you want your child to be so exhausted? You don't want your child to be so exhausted just because of a club, do you? Instead of homework clubs, I propose that we could have 1 hour of curriculum time to teach subjects such as time management, learning strategies, and study habits. This will teach students crucial life skills, helping them to study by themselves. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Georgina.
Thank you, Speaker. I draw the attention to the House to inform you that all Year 6 primary school students must attend homework clubs to be facilitated by their school for a minimum of 3 afternoons a week. The club provides students focus for a minimum allocated time and improves the amount and quality of homework students can complete. For example, when a student is at home, there are many competing interests for their time, and the student will rush their homework to finish it, leading to a decrease in quality. Students can concentrate solely on their homework, allowing them to complete it and hand it in on time, rather than doing unrelated and non-productive activities at home. Further, teachers appreciate completed high-quality homework being handed in on schedule, allowing them to review and correct, if necessary, in a timely and efficient manner. The afternoon homework clubs will provide time and an environment to finish homework, especially as some students find it hard working from home and are unable to complete work because of home stresses and outside of school activities. The students will learn more and gain a deeper understanding of their work because they are more focused and are able to consolidate what they have learned throughout the day and build on into the future. Thank you, Speaker.
Excellent. I call the youth member for Bonner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I draw the attention of the House to the motion that a curfew will apply to all internet-connected devices for students in Queensland primary schools, where they will not have internet or social media sites after 5 p.m. and before 7:30 a.m. Before I start listing it, just remember, many students in Queensland have many extracurricular activities that can bring their study time from 3 to 5 or even later. At least that's what I have. I firmly believe that access to the internet is vital for various reasons, such as academic collaboration, research, and entertainment. How can students keep a healthy mindset without some joy or humor? Moreover, in the absence of the internet, how would the students be able to call for help during emergencies? Imposing a curfew on internet-connected devices for primary school students may not be the most effective solution. Instead, we should focus on educating them about the responsible use of technology and offering them tools to manage their time efficiently. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Very good points. I call the youth member for Casuarina.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Why should we limit kids' ability to learn and communicate with this curfew? I believe internet should not be limited because then students would not be able to communicate with friends and family. Statistics say that 1 in 8 children suffer from stress and anxiety. That could be anyone in this room. Talking to people can help lower stress and anxiety levels. Not everyone can speak with their parents. Some need access to sites like Kids Helpline to deal with difficult times. This curfew will limit students' ability to learn. Can't kids go home and research things they're interested in? Students should be able to learn at school and outside school. When students are motivated to explore interests, it will set them up for a good career in the area that they enjoy. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Very good. I call the youth member for Baku.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am the youth member for Baku. I am a member of the opposition motion against this idea. Today I would like to share with the House why I am against having a curfew on electronics after 5 p.m. I have 2 reasons why I'm opposed to the curfew. Number 1, many students do sports after school and will not get home by 5 p.m. Therefore, they won't have time to do their homework. So if people must choose to do homework or do sports, most children will choose sports, so they won't be able to do their homework before the curfew. Number 2, many people living in Australia have friends and family overseas. Subsequently, they won't be able to speak to them after 5 p.m. because they live in different time zones to Australia. I have sisters in England and it is a 10-hour time difference. So if I call them before the curfew, they will be sleeping. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Endeavour.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to speak against the motion, and specifically the provision that Year 6 primary school students must attend homework clubs facilitated by their school for a minimum of 3 afternoons per week. Firstly, it is well established that children need time to relax, unwind and explore other interests outside the classroom. By making homework clubs compulsory for a significant portion of the afternoon, we are depriving students of vital opportunities for growth and self-development. Creativity, problem solving and mental well-being are all developed through extracurricular activities that are equally important for a well-rounded education. In addition, by extending the school day with homework clubs, we risk overburdening students and adding to their stress levels. Students should not be defined solely by their academic abilities, as a well-balanced approach to education is critical for happy, motivated and resilient young people. By allowing children time to unwind and maintain a healthy academic balance, we can prepare students for the challenges of the future. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you for those outstanding speeches. Is there anyone on the speaking list I have not called? So the question is that the motion moved by the Youth Shadow Minister for Information Technology be agreed to. Those of that opinion say aye. Aye. Those against say no. No. I think the noes have it. A division is called. Ring the bells. Close the bars. The question is that the motion be agreed to for which a division has been called. Will the government whip please advise what the government votes are for the ayes or noes?
58 votes, Madam Speaker.
Will the opposition whip please advise what the opposition votes are for the ayes or noes?
31 ayes, Madam Speaker.
Honourable youth members, the result of the division is ayes 58, noes 31. The division is resolved in the negative, yes, sorry. I think we are going now into the adjournment debate, and I call the youth leader of the House.
I move that the House does now adjourn.
I call, and I'm going to hand over to my colleague, the member for Capalaba. Thank you, everybody. You were absolutely amazing. I think half of you are going to at least turn up to be real members of Parliament when you grow up. Well done.
There we go. Bit weird sitting up here. Good afternoon, everyone. How are we all doing? Good. My name is Don Brown. I'm the state member for Capalaba, but I'm also the government whip as well. So the whips that just did their count before, well done. You've done a very good job today, and I've been listening to the contributions from everyone today, and they've done such a fantastic job. And I just want to particularly shout out to my local school, Hilliard State School, for the work that they've been doing in here. So with that, I call the youth leader of the House.
I move that the House do now adjourn.
Those of that opinion say aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. I call the member for Fig Tree.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to raise a motion on behalf of the people of Fig Tree. I'm here to share my position on how we can stop youth crime. Shockingly, 10% of crimes in Queensland are committed by children aged 10 to 17. Sadly, 41% of them go back to do it again, even after they've been caught. Something must be done. But what? The answer is simple but critical. By opening free, not-for-profit enterprises designed for entertainment and engagement, we can distract children from bad influences to get them interacting with their peers positively. Does the idea of a lower crime rate sound appealing? It does. So for the sake of the youth and for the safety of our community, this plan must be put into action. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Sandstone.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise to speak in the House today about the 2032 Brisbane Olympic and Paralympic Games. I am pitching today for baseball to be included as a host city sport. My sister and I play for the Red and Rays, and I know that kids all over the country playing baseball would love to represent Australia in 2032. Baseball is a very popular sport worldwide with up to 65 million people participating. It's played by all ages, young and old, male and female. If it was added to 2032, it would mean the eyes of the world will be watching Brisbane. Speaker, if fencing is in the Olympics, why can't baseball? According to the Australian Fencing Federation, they don't even have 5,000 active members, and there's 50,000 active baseball players in Australia. Baseball is growing in Queensland. If it was included in the 2032 games, it would mean more funding and investment in more facilities, allowing more teams and players to take part. Thank you, Speaker.
No, thank you. I call the youth member for Wangaratta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I draw attention of the House to a problem I'm sure most of you here today already have some knowledge on: waste. I strongly believe that as well as addressing the problem of waste in Queensland, we should also look to find some of the positive things we are already doing to help fix this issue. First, being a primary age youth parliament member, I will focus on waste problems within my school. I have sadly noticed limited recycling facilities and that students don't know what to recycle or place in general waste. Students at schools like mine have already tried to solve these issues by making creative bin labels that tell people what to put in each bin and contacting teachers demanding more recycle bins. But we shouldn't be the ones who have to do that. I strongly suggest that our council creates age-appropriate bin labels for all recycle bins in Queensland schools. Furthermore, I believe that the Queensland Government should provide more recycling facilities in Queensland schools and specifically age-targeted education about what to put in these bins. To quote Terry Swearingen, an internationally recognised environmentalist, "We are living on this planet as if we have another one to go to, but we don't." I believe that if we work together, both government and schools, we can ensure the longevity of our one and only Earth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Myrtle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I draw the attention to the House to the alarming amount of pollution in our waterways. One of my constituents has informed me of a disappointing sight while fishing. They pulled in 2 Coke cans and a plastic container with their cast net. My constituents and I suggest banning non-biodegradable materials would partly solve our polluted waterways problem. Many people in the community have been thinking long and hard about this dilemma. Some suggest introducing a monthly cleanup of our once gorgeous beaches and securing funding to invest in an ocean cleanup machine that would always be bobbing about cleaning our gleaming sea. I would like to return the discussion to non-biodegradable materials. A question I frequently hear in my electorate is, how much longer do we have to wait for non-biodegradable materials to be obsolete? Mr. Speaker, we know the damage they can cause to our environment. The clock is ticking fast. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Ballandine.
Thank you, Speaker. Today I would like to share with the House the dramatic increase in climate change in Queensland. I would like to bring to your attention that the average summer's day temperature in Queensland is 29 degrees. By 2030, it could rise to over 30 degrees, and by 2070, it could rise to over 32 degrees. Queensland already has the highest skin cancer and melanoma rates in the world, and this temperature increase is only expected to make this worse. Climate change is heavily affecting Queensland, with significant changes in temperature, decrease in rainfall, increasing sea levels, extreme weather conditions, and the catastrophic deterioration of the Great Barrier Reef. Due to the consequence of climate change, Queensland will likely lose money from a lack of tourism in the Great Barrier Reef, which only narrowly avoided an endangered classification from UNESCO. Climate change is happening in Queensland due to the burning of fossil fuels and the greenhouse gas pollution. Even the tiniest actions can affect our state, like when too much warm water is being used, leaving lights on when they aren't needed, and keeping appliances on when they are not in use. In conclusion, we should all try to decrease our energy consumption and be aware of burning fossil fuels and greenhouse gas pollution to save our state. Thank you, Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Limestone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to inform the House of a problem which is worsening as time goes by. There are many students who have special needs in Brisbane, which means that there needs to be support for these children. However, there are very minimal schools that can fully support these children. Although the kids need to be able to grow up in a normal environment, we cannot expect the same from them as we do for everyone else. The government should take more care of these children by, for example, encouraging all schools to have specific teachers to take care of special needs children. Another way would be to set slightly adjusted standards and have encouraging teachers to help the kids to learn to their fullest. This could truly help many special needs students. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Tully.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon. I'm the member for Tully, and today I would like to discuss the importance of investing more money and time into renewable energy sources in Queensland. Incorporating renewable energy into our daily lives is crucial to securing a sustainable future for our state and the planet. Renewable energy is derived from natural sources like sunlight, wind, rain, and geothermal heat. They are both sustainable, and they don't deplete resources like coal-fired power. Investing in renewables can reduce our reliance on fossil fuels and move towards a cleaner energy future. This shift can create numerous job opportunities for Queenslanders, stimulate our economy, and decrease our reliance on fossil fuels. One of the main challenges for renewables is the storage of the energy and the delivery of it during peak times. I propose that we focus on investing and innovating more in this area. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Parabinya.
Thank you, Speaker. Today I would like to share with the House the necessity of quiet hour for individuals with sensory sensitivities, which gratefully is already provided at some locations including Westfield Shopping Centres, Kmart and Coles. Quiet hour is a specific time each week that caters for those burdened with sensory processing disorders like autism and ADHD. People who have these disorders struggle with noise, crowds and lighting. Coles, for instance, during designated quiet hour, dim their lights, silences music and announcements, sets scanners at the lowest level of volume and ceases trolley collection. As someone who lives with autism, I'm grateful to places that implement quiet hour as it allows people like me to experience the same level of enjoyment as neurotypical persons already do. However, I believe quiet hour should also be adopted by dining venues such as Eat Street. Strategies could include limiting patron numbers, reducing music volume, lights at dimmer, and the creation of quiet spaces. In conclusion, I believe we should work on extending the concept of quiet hour across other venues to further promote inclusivity. Thank you, Speaker.
Very well done. That's one that hit home for me. Can I call the youth member for Woomera?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My community in southeast Brisbane, Wetland Coast, is the homeland of the Kondamuka people. We have many artists and songwriters. I want to draw your attention to one I'm particularly proud of, Adam James. He's the Kondamuka singer-songwriter. Adam James has partnered with the Wetlands Performing Arts Centre to create a concert-length program called the Great First Nations Songbook. The project will bring together more than 20 artists from iconic Australian and Indigenous backgrounds. Adam said he will reimagine the music through the lens of the First Nations people. This will give the song a nice flavour and different sound. It will turn something old into something new. This will be the first time the First Nations Songbook has ever been done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well done. I call the youth member for Tumbarumba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to speak on the motion that I think something that is a local issue around us would be the dangerous amounts of rubbish around our area, since it is not just bad for us, but for the whole entire world. And I think people should really take care of what happens after they bin their rubbish, such as making sure it does not make its way to the sewer or just any road or just any place where your rubbish is not meant to be. Rubbish is a local problem that deserves to be fixed in the nearby future, since it really causes a lot of dangerous problems such as pollution, which is something that we already have right now. And it has to be solved, or else worse things could happen that we don't even know about. Now, I'm sure everyone has just seen random pieces of rubbish on the side of the road or just anywhere. So that just proves that rubbish is an actual problem that needs to be fixed, since rubbish does not deserve to end up in oceans or just the road or eaten by turtles. Thank you, and I think everyone should be mindful of where their rubbish goes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well done. I call the youth member for Amadilla.
Thank you, Speaker. Today I want to bring the attention to the often overlooked issue of long COVID here in Queensland, Australia and all over the world. Many still suffer dreadful symptoms from contracting long COVID. Long COVID is a grave issue for those who have it. After developing long COVID, it can linger for 3 to 4 months on average, but varies all the way up to 24 months, which is about 2 years. The medical system is yet to realise the ongoing struggles of a life-altering illness. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine's mum has long COVID and is yet to have been provided with any form of service to cure their illness. They have not been provided with the necessary services to overcome their long-term illness that has temporarily or permanently affected their lives, and still is and will continue to affect their everyday lives as people. To help those who suffer from long COVID, our government needs to recognise their struggles, invest in research and provide the necessary support services to those in need for it for the better of our community. Thank you, Speaker.
Well done. I call on the youth member for Lightning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I draw the attention of the House to Campbell State Infants and Primary School, which has many different connections within the community, such as our OSH program, which is recognised internationally for its loose parts and nature play programs. These programs allow students from our school to explore their adventurous side. They can join a cooking club, sit around a campfire, paint, kick a footy, or engage in other creative activities. We also hold Anzac parades at our school every year, which invites families, students from other schools, community representatives, and people from the Returned Services League. This year we hosted over 2,000 people at our event. These parades have been held at our school for the past 30 years and will remain a special part of our calendar. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. I call on the youth member for comment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to inform the House of why opportunities for girls in education is essential for local communities. Throughout history, gender equality has been one of the major flaws in society. Women were treated as lesser beings without simple rights like being able to vote or have an education. Men were classified as the head of the household and were the only ones allowed to work. This is still a minor problem in today's world. Giving girls equal opportunities in education around local communities is a way we can work towards allowing girls the same rights and opportunities as boys. Ways we can help include offering girls more opportunities by introducing more extracurricular opportunities available to girls or creating more all-girls schools in the area. By executing more opportunities for girls in education, schools and families are investing in their future, helping them get a well-paid job to support their future lives. This is why I believe that opportunities for girls in education is essential for local communities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. I call the member for Tarlee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to inform the House of how the Camp Hill State Infants and Primary School aerobics and cheer teams excelled at Nationals 2023. Being part of the aerobics and cheer community, I can thoroughly inform you of how much this community has formed over the past few years. In 2023, numerous teams represented Camp Hill Infants and Primary School in aerobics and cheer across 4 grades. Additionally, Camp Hill had our youngest and biggest all-male aerobics team compete in regionals and states, breaking down the social norm of a females-only event. It has been one of the most hectic years for this community as teams progress through regional and state competitions before travelling all the way to Adelaide for nationals. Camp Hill medalled in almost every event they competed in, and without the support of the teachers, coaches and families, Camp Hill wouldn't have been able to compete. Many of the people from the Campbell community showed an overwhelming amount of contributions, and the results showed. This is a community we need to strive for. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I would like to bring awareness to the House about saving the rainforests. I was lucky enough to visit the Daintree Rainforest in North Queensland recently. It is an ancient rainforest that has been around since before the dinosaurs. It's a very special place for the animals that live there, as well as the Indigenous people of Australia. The rainforest contains many plants that can be used as medicine and is one of the biggest storage sites for carbon dioxide. But our rainforests are in danger. Development of roads and cities have been increasingly shrinking rainforests around the world. This means that animals native to the rainforests have become endangered. If we continue to destroy our rainforests, then global warming will become a much bigger problem due to the release of carbon stored in rainforests. Global warming will cause sea levels to rise, possibly destroying towns near the ocean. I propose that Parliament creates more national parks in Queensland dedicated to protecting these special places. We should strive to use renewable sources of energy instead of fossil fuels to protect our atmosphere. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I call the youth member for Mossman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The rising cost of living is a pressing issue that affects many of us. As prices keep on going up, it becomes harder to make ends meet and save for the future. It's important for us to understand the factors contributing to this trend and explore ways to mitigate its impact. We must slow the ever-growing threat of homelessness that has increased by 5.2% in the last 6 years. The massive enlargement of rent has forced thousands of people onto the streets. By raising awareness, advocating for policies that promote affordability, and making informed financial decisions, we can navigate through these challenges and work towards a more sustainable and fair future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Jeddah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to inform the House of the importance of teaching about social media in schools. If social media is taught in schools, then kids like me, who don't know much about social media, will be taught about it. Then it would be safer and more secure because kids will know how to stay cyber safe. Also, that there are some not nice people, for example, hackers or scammers, which can steal your personal information and sell it for money. 1.3 million children have their identity stolen every year. If kids are taught about social media in schools, then they will know not to click on the link or to have a safe password so they can't be hacked. In social media, there is also a lot of fake news, and kids that aren't educated about it, they might think it is real and they might share it, which could lead to people believing it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well done. I call the youth member for Raven.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to present my adjournment debate on batteries for solar power. Now, you might be asking yourself, why are batteries for solar power good? Well, a typical system for solar without batteries can cover about 30 to 50% of our household power consumption. But with a solar battery, the amount of solar power can be increased to 80, 90%, or even 100% of household power. Power companies pay excessively large amounts of money for just a very little amount of extra storage for those 9 to 10 days a year that are overly hot, when people use way too much aircon, therefore blowing out the power. But with batteries for solar power means members of the community could save energy so that when those hot days come, your community will have enough power to use. And that is why batteries for solar power is good. And the government should consider supporting the solar battery by providing more financial incentives. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well done. I call the youth member for Killarney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to inform the House about the success of the recent construction of the Rochdale Road and Priestdale Road intersection upgrade. The intersection used to be just a heavily congested and dangerous roundabout, which nearly 2,000 motorists passed through each day. By 2021, 4 accidents had already occurred in the past 5 years, one involving a school student. With 5 schools and a large childcare centre within a kilometre, locals were concerned. 2,000 people signed a petition demanding a solution. The project was funded by the Australian Government and Brisbane and Logan City Councils. Luckily, the project cost only about $24 million out of the $41 million that was budgeted. The finished intersection has widened the roads to 4 lanes and includes shared paths, pedestrian crossings, a U-turn facility, and turning and cycle lanes. The project has been an improvement to the safety of all road users and pedestrians. The upgrade has been a great success. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. I call on the youth member for Verbena.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker. Today, I would like to share with the House an issue about the costs involved in playing kids' sports. In recent times, the cost to play many sports has significantly increased, and at the same time, the cost of building has also increased dramatically. Due to this, parents have less money to spend and have to decide whether they can afford for their children to play sports. I'm aware of the funding that the government provides to sports, including fair play vouchers that help some families pay the costs. Unfortunately, more families who don't qualify for special help now find it difficult for their children to play, meaning more children will miss out on multiple physical and social benefits of playing sport. I ask, Mr. Speaker, that the government considers whether it can further increase funding to junior sporting clubs to help them make the costs cheaper, or widen the variety of people that qualify for cost assistance. Thank you.
Well done. I call the youth member for Amity.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to speak on the motion of mental health for young people and families. We all know that animals help to calm people down and provide joy to families. My plan is to develop ponds with waterfowl such as ducks and other marine life. These ponds would be a place where families come together to observe these creatures in a calming environment. Research tells us that water and the ocean is beneficial for our mental health. This project will offer a wide range of people living in different parts of my community another way in which they can connect with nature. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Ironbark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to inform the House about the importance of including swimming lessons as a part of the primary curriculum. Imagine this, you're walking past the pool and you've just seen a child fall into the water, but you know you can't do anything. Why? Because you never learnt how to swim. Drowning is the #1 unintentional cause of death in 1 to 3-year-olds in Australia. And last year, 339 people drowned in this great country of ours. A well-structured primary swimming program will ensure that every child, not just those with an interest in swimming, learns how to swim and be water-wise, with no additional cost or time pressure on the parents. Furthermore, swimming is an excellent form of exercise, providing both physical and mental benefits, which will help overcome the obesity epidemic in Australia. Incorporating swimming lessons as a part of the primary program will produce future generations who are not only healthy, but also know how to be safe in water. Plus, you never know how many more Ariana Titmuses will find. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Nadu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I draw the attention of the House to the problem of Queensland producing an absurd amount of waste, 9.26 million tonnes, and not recycling effectively. As a result, too much carbon dioxide and other pollutants are being released into the atmosphere and affecting the environment negatively. The question of how to improve the situation would include having the government implement policies that support green energy while shifting from coal, gas and oil plants that produce unwanted pollutants. The government could also build waste-to-energy plants that convert excess waste into energy and heating that can power thousands of homes. The government would build structures similar to Copenhagen in Denmark, a massive waste-to-energy plant that can turn waste into energy that doesn't negatively affect the environment. Some of the reasons we should do this include reducing the effects of climate change and maintaining flora and fauna. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. I call the youth member for Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I will be raising awareness of children misusing and illegally using e-scooters. We all know the law. If you are under 12 years old, it is illegal to ride a private e-scooter, and yet the RACQ is still concerned about parents buying their underage children e-scooters like their toys. This has led to a significant increase in the number of children involved in e-scooter accidents. In the past 12 months in Queensland, 427 people have been sent to hospital due to e-vehicle accidents, and 88 of these were children. I call for parents to be more vigilant. Children don't have the spatial awareness to manage an e-scooter, and they definitely don't know the traffic rules to be safe on them. We need people to follow the rules and keep young children safe. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well done. I call the youth member for Capella.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The population of marine life is significantly dropping at increasing rates due to mass amounts of plastic pollution in our ocean and waterways. Experts have estimated that by 2050, 99.99% of all marine life will have plastic in their bodies. Furthermore, the total combined weight of plastic in our oceans will outweigh the mass of all organisms. This consequential issue is caused by the inadequate treatment and disposal of waste products such as littering. Actions have been taken by the Council, which has committed $14.8 million on removing the waste in our ocean. Unfortunately, that won't be enough, as currently there are around 200 million tons of plastic in the ocean, where the numbers are only increasing day by day. So we have to start taking action now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well done. I call the youth member for Talabudra.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I would like to share with the House about the importance of children's brain development and mental health. Children have an enormous capacity to influence the brain-building process in profound and enduring ways. First, though, we need to arm them with the right information. Research shows that the public tends to misunderstand mental health, believing it's not relevant for children, but it is extremely relevant. Having a good mental health means having a positive sense of well-being, being able to cope with problems, meet your potential, and have resilience. Children who are struggling have a greater risk of health problems in adolescence and adulthood. Putting prevention strategies in place in schools, like teaching children about how their brain works, is a cost-effective solution. Children need our leaders to commit to a brain health strategy in schools. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I call the member for Yilpilly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to share with the House the 2032 Brisbane Olympics. Australia has a love for the Olympics, reflected in the fact that we have sent brave athletes to every Olympic Games. Now we have Australia's third chance to host the world's greatest sporting event, as we intend to build on the great successes of the Sydney 2000 and Melbourne 1956 Games. What really excites Australia is the chance to show for sport and, of course, to show off our breathtaking country. Fans can expect unbeatable experiences in 37 world-class venues and exciting cities filled with culture and entertainment. Brisbane is a special place. It will host a very memorable and thrilling games. We thank the International Olympic Committee for trusting us with this great responsibility. Let's make history. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. And before I hand over to the actual real speaker, I just want to thank everyone for all the contributions. It was fantastic to listen to all your adjournment debates, and a lot to take on board as part of the government. So thank you very much for that feedback.
Thank you, Member for Capalaba. We've got one last adjournment speech from the Youth Member for Bloomfield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I would like to share with the House a proposal to significantly reduce the peak traffic congestion in East Brisbane and also enhance community interaction. The potential benefits from a new green bridge from Bulimba to Tenerife would be very advantageous, because it would result in fewer cars on the road from people driving to the city. It would also support a healthier community with improved well-being from walking and cycling into the city as an alternative to driving. Furthermore,
Less cars on the roads would reduce carbon emissions and improve air quality for everyone. A new green bridge could be used by people for a shorter commute to their workplace, but be just as convenient to visit parks and restaurants in both directions. The bridge would open up new social and work opportunities for all people around Brisbane. So easy and so beneficial for so many people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Youth Member. Is there anyone who is keen to do an adjournment speech who has not done one or has not been read from the speaking list? Okay, well, the question is the House to now adjourn. Those of that opinion say aye. Aye. Those against, no. I think the ayes have it. Now, before we hand over to the Youth Leader of the House, I just have a few remarks I wanted to make, having been in the chamber here with you and also watching and monitoring from my office. All of you did so well. Very, very well done. You were very confident, articulate, and clearly you put a lot of work into your speeches, whether it was part of a motion or a bill or whether it was a private member statement or an adjournment speech. Well done to you. Congratulations for being brave enough to come in here and be youth parliamentarians, and I hope you've really enjoyed the experience and you've gotten a lot out of today. Of course, these events are really great to give you a taste of what kind of happens in the real parliament. But as I said, the real parliament is a place where we make our laws and we have people representing all different parts of Queensland. Now, in a few more years, and it's definitely a few more years for you, you'll be looking at getting into your own local communities, and you'll probably get to the voting age and you'll look at your own local representatives. Hopefully you've thought about this today, you've understood a little bit more about what we do, and it might make you just that much more educated about our parliamentary democracy. So thanks again for all the hard work and for what you've done. I also want to say, though, that we've definitely got some future or aspiring members of parliament in here. I can definitely see that. But you don't need to be an elected person to be a leader in your local community. You could be somebody who volunteers for the local Lions Club or the Rotary Club, or someone who's just volunteering to support local not-for-profits or charity groups. So it's also about making sure that you set a great example, both when you're at school and as you go through your education, because not everyone's going to be the school captain or the head of the student council, but it doesn't mean you don't have a role to play in terms of being leaders in your school environment. A couple of people I think we really do have to acknowledge and thank for their contributions to making today successful. Of course, we had the member for Bulimba, Di Farmer, here. We just had the member for Capalaba, Don Brown. And of course, we had Kim Richards, the member for Redlands, a little bit earlier. They gave up their time to come and see you because your schools are in their local areas. They've all told me they were very impressed, but I wanted to say thank you to them for coming and supporting your youth parliament. If you could give them a big hear here. Now, other very important people. You've got parents and carers who have come along today. It's great that they're able to do that and take the time to see you in action. So we want to say a big hear here to your parents and carers. And there's another important group, your teachers, who have no doubt been very, very instrumental in helping you shape your speeches, helping you with research, and making sure that you're ready for today to give you every chance of having a terrific day here at Parliament. Now, teachers are really important people. You may not realise it now, but in the long run, you'll remember your teachers very, very fondly, and you'll think, oh, they were very important to me, and they actually made me learn things that I didn't think I even needed to learn. So, if you can give your teachers a big hear here. And last but not least, I do want to say thank you to our parliamentary education team, Rebecca, Kate and Maria, for all of the work that they do. You may not know it, but we do mock parliaments here at Parliament House, and we also go to regional and rural parts of Queensland to do mock parliaments in other areas. Next week we're heading to Toowoomba. And we've gone all around the state over the last 5 or 6 years. It's one of the best parts of my job, but I know that our education team are very passionate about it too. So if you could please give a big hear here for Rebecca, Kate and Maria. And last, give yourselves a pat on the back. Well done. I love the literal interpretation. It's fantastic. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for putting the big effort in, and I declare the Brisbane East Primary School's Youth Parliament closed. I call the Youth Leader of the House.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the students of the 2023 Brisbane East Youth Parliament, I would like to thank you for your time you have spent with us today. Youth members, can we have a hear for Mr. Speaker?